King Kong was released in 1933 and directed by Marion C. Cooper and Ernest Schoedsack. It was released during the Great Depression and it still broke box office records. It's a milestone for special effects, movie scores, monster movies, adventure movies. It ranked number 4 on the American Film Institute's top 10 fantasy films. But it received 0 Academy nominations, not even for special effects. What? The special effects category didn't even exist back then. It only came out a few years later, and King Kong was kind of the one to start that. King Kong challenged Hollywood with what you could do with a movie. Good gravy. I love this movie. Whether you've seen King Kong or not, you know the story. A group of people venture out to a remote location to see something beautiful and perhaps dangerous when monstrous creatures come out and attack. And when our heroes finally get the chance to escape, someone gets greedy and decides they'll risk some lives to bring a stupidly dangerous monster to the mainland where, wouldn't you know it, begins to break things. Yeah, we've seen it 100 times, but King Kong is the first, and dare I say, the best to tell this story. Quick history! 1933 marked the thick of the Great Depression. You wouldn't have had a lot of money, and if you did, you probably weren't spending it on what little you had to go to the movies. If you did have a chance to go to the movies, you probably would have seen something a little lighter, like 42nd Street, Duck Soup, or Footlight Parade. But that didn't stop Hollywood from making movies that reflected America's pessimistic attitude with gangster flicks like Scarface and The Public Enemy, and Universal especially cashed in on the horror genre with movies like Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, just to name a few. But when King Kong, an adventure epic, was released, it made about $2 million worldwide. The Great Depression! People were spending the money they didn't have to watch a monkey wreak havoc through New York City. Now let's talk about one of the directors for this film, Marion C. Cooper. This guy was eccentric. This guy was adventurous, reckless, a visionary. In truth, the director in King Kong, Carl Denham, is probably a caricature of Cooper. After high school, he joined the U.S. Naval Academy because joining the military was the best way to see the world. But his senior year, he was expelled for hell-raising and championing air power. He became a reporter. He joined the Georgia National Air Guard and helped chase Pancho Villa across Mexico. He graduated flying school in the top of his class. In World War I, he joined the Air Force, was shot down, reported dead twice. All of this before he was 24. I don't have time to talk about how he escaped a Soviet POW camp because we got to get back to the film review. But why isn't there a movie about this guy? Cooper traveled with a man named Ernest Schoedsack to write articles for Asia magazine. Based on Cooper's track record, I'm sure that they ran into royalty or narrowly escaped pirates. Oh, come on! Long story short, Cooper and Schoedsack teamed up to make nature documentaries. These two were notorious for being reckless just to get that perfect shot of that tiger or a tribesman. In King Kong, Denham is seen rolling the camera himself. When he's asked, hey, do you always operate the camera? He says, ever since the trip I made to Africa. I'd gotten a swell picture of a charging rhino, but the cameraman got scared. The darn fool, I was standing right there with a rifle. Wouldn't be surprised if that was Cooper and Schoedsack going, hey, remember that? I hate you so much. One morning, Cooper wakes up with this idea of a giant gorilla rampaging through New York City. He thinks, that'd be a cool movie. Cooper made friends with a special effects artist named Willis O'Brien, who was toying around with new technology called stop motion photography. Yeah, Rankin and Bass have this guy to thank for all those Christmas specials. But just like today, it took some time to move these things to give the illusion of natural fluid motion. It took an hour to get 10 frames. So if there's 24 frames a second and 60 seconds in a minute, it on average took 150 hours to get 1 minute of stop motion animation. That's 6.25 days without bathroom breaks. And not only is there a lot of stop motion in this movie, but it's good. Yeah, some of the dinosaurs move more like snakes, but since stop motion was a new thing, it's really good. There are scenes where Kong is fighting a T-Rex, but Fay Ray is either sitting right there watching or trying to hide. Oh, wow! King Kong chases a bunch of guys across a log, and he grabs the log and he starts to lift it and turn it, and he throws it down a chasm. How did they do that? King Kong, the puppet, was like 18 inches long, and they have full-grown men on this runaway log with like I don't know what it's movie magic. But the movie isn't just about the special effects. The story, though retold 100 times, is pretty solid. It's paced beautifully. The whole trip to Skull Island is filled with a sense of adventure, but there's a hint of dread and suspense. The natives, though kinda cheesy by today's standards, they can be scary. They abduct Anne, take her through these huge doors, tie her up, and leave her to be sacrificed. And when the action kicks in, it really pays off. The characters are pretty good too. I like Fay Wray as Anne Darrow in the first half. She basically just screams after she encounters Kong, but to her credit, she's just responding to what's going around her. And really, what is she responding to? Nothing. There's no actual monkey grabbing her, and it's not like today where actors are familiar with green screens and computer animation. This was new. Ray was given an idea of what was going to happen in the final product, and she delivered. I believe her. Good job, Ray. There's kind of a forced romance between Anne and the skipper or first mate of the ship. He's probably got the cheesiest line of the film, where after days, if not weeks on the boat, his attitude toward Anne shifts from, "I don't like women folk," to, "Hey, I guess I love you." Still a better love story than some stuff we get today. Carl Denham may be the first greedy character in a film who's not really depicted as a villain. He's all about making money, but he does care about Anne's safety. Or does he? When all the men go out to find Anne, they come across a couple of dinosaurs, and what's the first thing he says? "I wish I could bring one of these back alive." Cha-ching! Even when they rescue Anne, he's worried that the trip was a waste of time. He didn't get the film to make his movie, but he talks the crew into helping him capture Kong, 'cause it'll get them some money when they get back home. But let's talk about the title character, Kong himself. He's an animal. He's huge. He's scary. My word, he's a monster. He chews a few dudes up and spits them out. He stomps on a guy several times. He throws a woman out of a window when he realizes it's not Anne. What? Actually, this movie is pretty graphic. Dinosaurs eat crew members. The fight between Kong and the T-Rex is kind of hard to watch. I'm really impressed that the production team took the time to have them struggle with holds like a real wrestling match would have. And in the end, Kong breaks the T-Rex's jaws. Yeah, that's not a graphic insert in the 2005 remake. That happened in the 30s. Good night. It's a graphic film. But the real question is Kong really a monster? It's interesting because King Kong does not appear on the AFI's top heroes and villains list. Because is he a hero or is he a villain? You're scared of him when he takes Anne into the jungle, but you can't help but feel sorry for him when the planes shoot him down. The movie constantly references Beauty and the Beast throughout the movie. In fact, that's the last line. "Oh no, it wasn't the airplanes, it was Beauty killed the Beast." The Beauty and the Beast story is a one-sided relationship. The traditional, ugly, and misunderstood Beast loves the seemingly perfect Beauty, knowing he may never get her love in return. We've seen this exaggerated in stories like Shrek, to subtler allusions like Forrest Gump, all the way to Disney's interpretation of the classic fairy tale. King Kong may act like a toddler, protecting his favorite toy when others try to eat or rescue Anne, but ask yourself, why does a toddler protect that toy? Because he loves it. Kong loves Anne. Because of his love, he's captured and taken out of his habitat and ultimately murdered. Peter Jackson's adaptation spends a lot more time developing the relationship between Anne and Kong, so much that in his version, the Beauty eventually returns the Beast's love. But Jackson's movie is also twice as long as the original, and ain't nobody got time for that. Denham even says in the beginning, "The Beast was a tough guy too. He could lick the world, but when he saw Beauty, she got him. He went soft. He forgot the wisdom and the little fellas licked him." King Kong is not just an adventure monster movie. It's a tragic love story. If you haven't seen this film, you should definitely check it out. Though King Kong didn't win any Academy Awards, it's still regarded as one of the best American films made. Marion C. Cooper had a vision, and he led a creative team of mavericks who worked hard and set milestones in cinema through thousands of man-hours to create a monster of a movie. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.